Nick's got his mojo working.
What's that? Delay, reverb.
Tumnus, both amps.
That was nice.
Really nice. Hey guys, welcome to That Pedal Show. Dan here.
Mick here, hello. Right, as you can tell from the title of the video, we're trying to address a very broad question that we've addressed many times before in lesser or greater extent.
So it keeps coming up, doesn't it?
Because it's the building block of all guitar sound, which is essentially gain structure.
Mm-hmm.
So Dan and I were talking before we started filming today about what we're going to do a video about, and we said, why don't we try this? And we weren't entirely sure where it was going to go, so we're going to go.
We're going to go and see what happens.
And see if we get there.
Yeah.
So what's the question as you understand it?
So the question, as I understand it, we have people who comment from the video. We put an overdrive pedal up and they're saying, yes, but how is this going to sound into my dirty amplifier? Or we put a booster up, but how's it going to sound into my cleaner amplifier? And yeah, it is understanding this fundamental is key to unlocking tone.
It touches on such a load of areas. One is gain structure, which is really important. Two is no pedal. This is, I mean, you've said this ever since we started doing this video. No pedal has a sound.
Mm-hmm.
All it is a conduit between guitar and amp,
yep.
And it reacts to the guitar and to the amp. So constantly, if we're demoing pedals, or if we're A/B testing pedals, or whatever, or if anyone else out there in the world is demoing a pedal, you can get some remarkably sweeping statements about how pedals sound. Mm-hmm. And the truth is, they sound radically different into different amplifiers. And as we all know,
different guitars.
Yeah. So, what we're going to do today is we've got a dirty amplifier. We've got the Victory Sheriff 44, which sounds. You've got the humbuckers. It's pretty cool. I was playing it with this guitar earlier, and it's just... I think it's
boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
That's just straight into the amp. We've got it on a Marshall cab today for pure laziness reasons, because we were moving amps around, and anyway, it's on a Marshall 212. Straight into the amp. That was no pedals. Pretty glorious sounding amp.
Yep.
Dirty, right?
Not crazy loud either.
No, well, you could see from the... We've decided to reintroduce the dB meter because there's going to be some elements of boost and effects on volume today, which is another big key area of this whole discussion.
Yeah.
So we've also got Fender Super Reverb, which is clean. Actually sounds a little bit. I'm just going to turn it up a little bit, but we might need to turn it down again once we start boosting it. But
that is a more traditional sounding Strat than yours.
yeah.
It's awesome.
It's got, so this is a John Mayer signature Strat rather than my normal blue one, just fancy a bit of a change. I don't play it much. It's got what he calls Big Dipper So they're more mid-scooped,
Yeah.
particularly in positions 2 and 4.
Okay.
So actually, as a complete side note, you've got Tumnus there.
Yes.
If you stick that on a sec. So he loves those in-between positions with a clon type pedal, so it sounds fat, but it still sounds clean.
Can you do that John Mayer thing?
What thing? Anyway, sorry, digression. Fender Super Reverb clean amp. So as you can hear, just switch between them, Dan, can you? The 2 amps. Couldn't be more different. So the question is, often when we demo pedals, we will use amps that are just on the edge of breaking up.
Yep.
So that sweet spot of where the pedal will push the amp into a little bit more overdrive, but it's not overdriving so much that it just doesn't do anything. So
of course,
we get loads of comments of people going, yeah, but I use the gain in my amp, so what difference do pedals really make? Plus, what's better, pedal overdrive or amp overdrive? So we're going to have a little meander through that.
Let's meander away. All right, so now we've just done an A/B between the OCD and Dirty Little Secret.
Yep.
Let's have a look at the Dirty Little Secret into the Super.
Yep.
Right. And then we're going to do the same pedal. We'll get a sound that we like, and then we'll show you how it sounds into the Marshall.
Yeah, because as people keep pointing out, the Dirty Little Secret is what people call an amp in a box, which is a complete misnomer. It's an overdrive pedal. Turn the amp off, Dan.
Sorry. Turn the amp off.
Yeah. Here's what the amp in a box sounds like. It's not an amp in a box, it's an overdrive pedal, but it is designed to sound like a Marshall amplifier.
Yeah, it's into a clean amplifier. It's supposed to replicate the compression characteristics of the amplifier. That is, that the way that it reduces the dynamics when it's compressing.
Yeah.
Yep. And
okay, I'm going to turn the reverb off in the Super, so that we're a bit more Marshall-y.
Okay.
So here's the Super then.
And here's the Little Secret.
Quite a lot of gain there. So that was what happened there as I went from the Fender Super Reverb into the Victory Sheriff, and what you hopefully will have heard is that the sound change was nowhere near as radical because the amp was already overdriving. So it took the Fender from nice polite Fender into very crunchy Marshall territory, and it took the Victory, which is already overdriving, from very Marshall territory into kind of over the top,
more saturated than
too much. Yeah. Also, pushing the volume master up on the pedal didn't really push the volume of the amp up.
No.
Just try that into the Fender a sec.
Okay. We are running that at 18 volts, by the way, anyone who...
Yeah, just for a bit of variation on where we've been before. So it has, because the amp's got more headroom in it, it has a much more significant effect on the volume lift that it's giving the amp. So there you go. There's kind of point one. If you're running an overdrive-driven amp and you want to kind of boost it, it's quite hard to do with an overdrive pedal.
It really is. It really is. Unless you turn the gain down and turn the volume up, it's the difficult thing to do.
That's an intro. Okay, let's try that. So back to the Victory. You should have put some wax potted pickups, my friend. So even the DLS is in the Super League mode, but even with the gain, the preamp all the way down,
it's too much.
It's still too much for an already boosted amp. So why don't we contrast that with a boost?
Okay. Straight clean boost.
Just to see what that does.
Sure.
So we've got the Fulltone Catalyst here, which is a booster.
Okay. You have Schwang.
Haven't really listened very much to this pedal, but we'll give it a go. How much volume lift has it got on tap there?
Okay, let's have a look.
Can you turn the bass down a little bit as well?
Yep.
Sounds like it's got a buffer or something in there as well that's kind of putting a brightness on the top.
Yeah, so obviously you've got your bass, mids control and treble control.
Yeah.
But because it's got gain in it as well, it's not just a straight clean boost. I mean, it is very clean, but you can flick in the switch that makes it more of an overdrive pedal.
Wow, so that's like a real full range transistor type overdrive.
Yeah.
We might be blowing our So we'll stick it in the transistor overdrive mode. Turn the master down a little bit, please. Just making that super sound really edgy.
Raspy and edgy, yep.
Yeah. So, what do we think of the Fulltone Catalyst as an overdrive pedal? Victory? Killer.
Yep.
Can I hear it with that? Which loops it in? Which switch is it on?
It's on 10.
10, yeah.
It's just just a super.
Keep going. It's always dangerous to veer into the realms of what sounds good and what sounds bad, because clearly there's an application for all sounds, and actually that exact same sound that Dan just came out there on, you will have heard on quite a few records in the 70s.
Set up like that,
yeah,
definitely. But if we go back to the straight clean boost,
yeah.
So in this application, into the overdriven amplifier.
Well, it's working like an overdrive treble booster, isn't it?
Yep.
Like a transistor treble booster,
yep,
which is great into an overdriven amp.
But we go back to the cleaner setting.
Yeah.
If you want to have a go at that one.
I might just change guitars a sec.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry, carried away with volume controls there. Yeah, I mean, so back to the original question. How do I boost my already overdriving amp? You've got to think so carefully about frequencies, haven't you?
Yeah. So what made that work is just tuned to the mids. The bass. But there's something about that into an overdriven amplifier that just sounds superb. Into the Fender, I mean, it's great. It's just a straight clean boost. But into the overdriven amplifier,
yeah,
awesome.
And I think that would go for, if you're not using a vastly overdriven Marshall style amp, if you're going for like an old Fender Tweed or anything that's got a lot of drive in the amp itself, that kind of trebly boost.
Yeah.
Great example, of course, being Brian May and his Vox AC30s, treble boost in the front.
I think, yeah, so fuzz is a really interesting thing with this as well.
Let's move on.
Okay, so this is the ProAnalog Devices Mark IV. Hey, Scotty. This is the all silicon transistor version. There's another one that uses germanium transistors as well. But this is the modern all silicon.
So Mark IV referring to Tone Bender?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. This is Scotty's take on the Tone Bender. It's not a... It's inspired by the circuit.
Right.
But what Scotty does with it is actually very special. So if we go to... we'll start off with the Super. And this is the Mark IV into the Super. Harsh. Actually, it's not harsh. There's something really...
It's cool.
There's... What I love about the Mark IV, about the tone benders in general, is they're so punchy. As opposed to like as a fuzz face, they can be quite soft and lovely, but the Mark IVs are a lot more aggressive.
Yeah,
that's the way I feel about them. So yeah, that's into the Super. All right,
it's right on the edge of being. It's got a really abrasive. It's pushing those tens. It's pushing the Super into. It's kind of cool,
yeah,
but it's kind of abrasive. If that was a fuzz face, it would just sound horrific.
Sure,
wouldn't it?
Yep.
Anyway, so come on then.
Now this is the Victory. Now with the Mark IV.
So pushing some absolutely, obviously, so much gain. Everything was going completely crazy.
Yep.
Let's try. I'm going to turn the amp gain down a bit. So if you turn the fuzz off for a sec.
Yep. So good.
Yeah, so the point of doing that, the point of turning the gain in the amp down there was if you bought a nice overdrive pedal or a fuzz and you got it into a really gainy amp and you're turning it on, you're like, this is not working. The answer is turn the gain in the amp down, and that's one of the reasons why Dan and I, and why on that pedal show we tend to use amps, as we said, right at the top that are just on the edge of overdrive rather than overdriving heavily. Now there is no doubt that a great amp overdriving, such as that, AC30, Plexi, actually, even a Tweed Fender or something, is a glorious sound, but it makes it borderline unusable with a lot of overdrive pedals and fuzzes, doesn't it, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Okay,
so again, what does the ProAnalog Devices Mark IV sound like? Depends entirely what you plug it into. Yeah. And again, to come back to the question at the top of the video, How do I boost my already overdriving amp? Not with a fuzz pedal.
Yeah. Okay, so how do we boost an already overdriving amplifier?
Should we look at EQ?
Let's look at EQ. We did a whole show on EQs before, and if you haven't seen that, that's certainly one worthwhile going to check out. This is a bog standard G7. It's not been modded, it's not been touched. It's it's old, but it's just a standard one. So if we go from the Super, that's set up flat, no cutting or boosting, so you can hear it's just straight through. Now, with the Super, because it's such a broad frequency amplifier, what I can do is simply turn the volume up with this right lever. Yeah. That sounds great! Oh yeah! Man alive.
It's just, I've never heard it overdrive like that before. It's just pushing it into overdrive. It's really cool. So again,
that's awesome.
So single coils, doing nothing like the humbuckers
Right, so
we're doing.
Without the boost.
So let's have a look at our transients on that. If you turn the boost off again, just keep your eye on the dB meter for a sec. Have the boost. So it was putting on a good 10 dB there, pretty much. I think, I can't remember what the exact numbers were, but in the room it sounds
big and glorious.
Actually, I'll just say about the dB meter, we're not entirely sure if it's completely accurate. It's also about 8 feet away from the amp, so we're not sure if they're true readings. However, it's a constant, it's in the same place, therefore it is at least a measure of the difference in what's happening. So yeah, anyway.
I often find with Fender amplifiers, Silverface and Blackface in particular, that if you boost the input with a clean signal, they can actually take such a huge volume increase before they start to break up.
Yeah.
But it's the way that the preamp works. It's a great way to get a really good clean sound. Is to have a really hot signal into the amp.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So like that, which is just a straight clean boost, but now if we turn the master down and had that as your normal level, it's a beautiful crystalline clean sound.
Because it gives you, it also with the amp compressing a little bit more in that way, it's just giving you a little bit more butter under the fingers there.
Yeah, awesome.
Lest we stray into loads of adjectives about buttery. So cool. So we see what the G7 is doing to the Fender there. It's just making it louder.
That's right.
And with the Les Paul, it's actually making it overdrive a little bit as well.
Now let's do the same thing with the Victory.
Okay. Let's start with humbuckers.
Okay.
So which one's the G7 in?
The G7 is in 6. So
not much volume increase.
not much volume increase, but the gain and saturation increase is huge.
Yeah, so you're there playing away on your solo, you think, I want a boost, you step on that, all it's done is got more saturated, more compressed, not really any louder.
Mm-hmm.
This is what that level of boost does into the Fender. And that's just by having the G7 turned up. That's enough for a solo boost.
Yep.
Into the Victory.
You barely even know it's on.
It's a great sound.
Awesome.
I mean, it's a bit like if you had an overdrive pedal when you were boosting the overdrive pedal with a boost.
Sure.
It's exactly the same as just
Exactly the
boosting
same
the
thing.
amp.
Yep.
So you're not getting any level increase enough for a solo boost. So if you just play a set down. So to make that, you can hear how much that Victory is driving. It's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really overdriven. To get any sort of boost by putting something into the front end is hard. So
It's all about the mid-range with that and taming the bottom end. All I would say with using the Equalizer to do that, make small adjustments. Just what will happen as you boost the mid-range, those frequencies will overdrive.
Which is exactly what's happening.
Exactly what's
isn't it?
happening.
Yeah.
So it's not about making the amp sustain more or saturate more. It's more about taming that bottom end so that when that it just doesn't get mushy, so that it sort of pops out in the mix. And an EQ will do that really well.
What would be interesting is just to compare that. So if you do that again, what I'm going to do is do exactly the same thing. Leave the EQ set exactly as it is, and we'll hear the amp overdriving and then with the EQ.
Yep.
And then I'm going to make the amp overdrive less and hear the difference then.
Okay, yep.
Try that.
That's awesome.
I'm interested to know what that does to a Strat. So as I explained, I've turned the amp gain down, so this is how much it's overdriving with the Strat. Tube Screamer.
It's awesome with no gain on it.
Yeah.
Great. Love that.
Which would be something that's so. In fact, it's in electronically a completely different way. It's kind of what a Tube Screamer is doing, isn't it? It's you keep an element of the clean sound, but you're cutting the bass and pushing the mids, and that's essentially. Although it's achieving it in an entirely different way, that's essentially what that G7 is doing.
Yep.
And eventually galloping towards the point, if you are running a more overdriven amp, actually a level and an EQ change can be more effective than some gainy pedal.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Which is to hopefully answer the question, I'm trying to boost my already overdriving amp, how do I do it? Probably not with an overdrive pedal. Well, if you're looking for a boost in terms of volume and cut through a mix, not with an overdrive pedal, not with a fuzz, not with a distortion pedal. If you're looking to go from very heavily driven to completely saturated and mushy mush, then yes, do all of the above, Billy Gibbons style.
Sure.
But
just have a quick look at the Tumnus though.
Okay.
As far as that mid-shape thing, so we've done the EQ just a straight shape change. Now we just add a hair of gain with that special clonny shape, that curve.
Yeah,
so what it does.
So this is kind of between an EQ and boost and an overdrive pedal, isn't it? Because it's based on the clon thing, which sort of does that.
Yeah, yeah.
Particularly if you're not running very much gain. So I should turn the gain down now. Is that...
It's such a great sounding pedal.
You been to jazz school?
Awesome. Right, now let's see what that does with the Victory. Wonderful.
So quite a lot with the Les. So the Les Pauls are already overdriving the amp a load.
Yep.
A little bit more.
Yeah.
Isn't it? A little bit more. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to turn the gain down in the amp.
Okay.
So if you give us a bit of Les Paul again. Still plenty of overdrive.
Yeah, very bitey. great sound.
That wouldn't give you enough for a solo boost, would it?
Frequency-wise, that it would probably cut.
Maybe.
Yeah. It depends if I'm... Yeah, maybe. It would cut purely because of the frequency, but there's no volume lift there. As opposed to if I was in the Fender. The whole thing comes up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's what you do. I got it. I got it. You go. Then you add the Fender in next to the Marshall. There's your solo boost.
And then you put the Tumnus on top. Is it 5? 4?
Oh my goodness.
Okay, there we go. We're not going to do too much more of that because, as you see, that was heading up there towards the high dBs, and that was starting to sound a bit loud to me, but it did sound blooming glorious. Okay, there we go then. Some thoughts on boosting overdriven and clean amps. What works, what works less well, and just some thoughts really about, if you've got pedals that aren't working with your overdriven amp, it's probably because it's kind of too much. Yeah.
So, suggestions to try. Maybe turn the gain down a little bit. It might be all you need to do to start off with a less compressed sound from your amplifier. Not all the way down. It doesn't have to be a clean thing. But, something where you dig in still breaks up really nice. But you might get more out of the pedals that you've got by doing that.
The other thing to try, and we've suggested this before, is using these two amps today is essentially, yes, they're two very separate amps. However, if you've got something like, I don't know, a Marshall DSL or Mesa Rectifier or actually even a Fender Hot Rod Deluxe for that matter, what you've got is one very clean channel and one very dirty channel, Victory V30. There's nothing wrong whatsoever setting up the dirty channel to use for your brilliant, awesome amp distortion.
Yep.
But actually using the clean channel for all your pedals.
Yeah. One of the best guitar sounds I ever heard was Robin Ford at the Basement in Sydney, and he had Fender and a Marshall and an APY switch.
There you go.
And just Marshall for the dirty sound, Fender for the clean sound.
Yeah.
Fender was turned up and cranked. I love two amp rigs. It brings so much more to the party. It's such a great way to do it.
But we can't all do that. So.
No. But if you can,
yeah,
it's a great way to do it.
It's a good way to do it. Okay, all right, there we go. Hope that was interesting.
Yeah.
Quick thanks to everyone who's been to thatpedalshowstore.com and bought a t-shirt. Thank you very much. Also to all our Patreons on patreon.com. Thank you very much. Helps us do what we do. And finally, big thanks to our preferred exclusive retailers. That is Andertons in the UK and Europe, and in the USA, that would be Riff City Music.
Brilliant. Cheers, guys. Hope you enjoyed that, and we'll see you next week.
Cheerio.
Cheers, guys. Bye.